Well, good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. It's so good to see you this Monday morning. I always look forward to this particular time of the day and this particular day of the week. Really gets me started off on the right foot. Over the past 3 years, I have learned that cultivating and celebrating small moments of happiness like this uh, as they come along has never felt more cathartic, life affirming, and essential to my well being. I love to laugh. I love to experience new things and try to revamp the stale aspects of my daily life. I find that it's all too easy to fall into a rut if I don't try to keep things lively and change them up from day to day. And I really want to fill each day with joy in this journey that I'm sharing with you, my fellow travelers. So, with that in mind, let's get started with something that's very near and dear to my heart. Uh, for me, one of the best ways to accomplish this goal is to appreciate everyone around me. When we strive to practice what we call gratitude, it's often viewed from our own internal lens. We journal, we meditate on these feelings and appreciate the boost to our overall well-being, and uh, to and notice how it sometimes helps to relieve our stress when we give acknowledgement to all the things in our lives for which we are grateful. Taking action, which is an extension of being grateful, to help others really amplifies the process for me. And that can be done in so many ways without any real cost to ourselves financially, but only with awareness of those who surround our lives. Making someone's life better in some small way really makes my day. It gets me outside of myself, and it helps if we can all turn our gratitude for the life with which we're blessed into action simply by paying closer attention to others and acting on what we see around us. That sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? But so often we just don't seem to take the time to take the step to acknowledge what we're seeing all around us and understand how impactful so many small gestures can be in the lives of other people that we may not even know really well. Some maybe we're really close to, but others we may not actually know at all. One of the things that I find really helpful to do in this day and age, particularly where everything is electronic, you text, you email, you use your cell phone, but very few of us anymore take the time to write an actual letter. Well, writing an actual letter acknowledging a special action of someone and then mailing it to them, not for just a special occasion, shows that you are noticing something. And when it's received in the mail, it's almost always a delightful surprise and an acknowledgement of the recipient that you cared enough to take your time to let them know how you truly felt by going through this process, which is much more labor intensive and much more focused than a quick text or an emoji in an email would be. Next, one of the things that I find really helpful is to learn what the other person really values, and then try to tailor my response accordingly to them. Maybe this is a person who really likes a hug. Other people don't want to be touched, but especially as intimately as a hug, but they might welcome a handshake or a pat on the back, a gift, maybe a card, some time off that you could give them by expelling them from an activity that they normally have to perform, maybe time together. Maybe taking over a test for someone else would be a way you could physically show your gratitude for the other person in your life. This is especially true, I think, for those of us who have family and friends and coworkers, and we see how much they are doing. And have we ever said to ourselves, I could step in here and I can make a little bit of a difference for a little bit of time. Another thing that we can do to take action to show our gratitude is something that I think all of us benefit from, and that is to practice active listening, creating a space for another person to talk and fully engaging with them on what they have to say. Just a one-on-one time where you can actually have a conversation, where you are the person who is being attentive, where you don't offer any judgments or even any suggestions, but you listen, and you don't spend time planning what you're going to say as soon as they quit talking. By creating an environment for someone to feel safe enough to speak what's really on their mind and to trust that they're going to be heard by you, you are showing them how much you care about them. You're showing them that you appreciate who they are and what they have to say. They may not be looking for solutions at all. They may be simply looking for someone who will give them the time and allow them to be heard so that their voice is known and their opinions are valued. There are all kinds of things where we really sit down and consider it, where we can make tangible gestures of appreciation, rather than just playing lip service to, oh yeah, I appreciate all that you've done for me. Well, there are lots of tangible ways you can appreciate others. One of them is probably the simplest thing of all, and that is to share your smile with somebody. If a person is going around in their day without a smile, surely to goodness you have one you can share with them and lighten their spirits a little bit by seeing that there is one other person who is happy to see them alive and well and in the world. Giving somebody a sincere compliment is something that costs you absolutely nothing except paying attention and being willing to share what you're seeing with them. Compliments can run the gamut from attire to action on the other person's part. Just look at people and acknowledge the good they do in their lives every day that they probably don't even think of. They take it for granted that that's expected of them, when in fact their kindness needs to be appreciated always. Another gesture you can make of appreciation is to be patient with someone, even when you're feeling rushed. That other person may be working or acting as quickly as they possibly can, and they need your patience in a real way to be able to accomplish what they've set out to do. they may need your help as well. But first of all, give them patience to achieve whatever it is that they're attempting for themselves, and being nice in the process. I see too many people getting impatient with other people in a variety of day-to-day situations. And I think, oh, couldn't you just chill out and take 10 seconds out of your life and let this person feel good about what they're doing? Another thing you can do, that's especially in my neighborhood, is something everyone tends to be pretty aware of, is to offer to run an errand for someone else when you see that they're busy. We have a wide variety of families in my neighborhood, ranging from people like me who are pretty much on their own, to young families with little children that are busy all the time, many of them working families. And very often, I will just say, hey, I'm going to be going here today. Is there anything I can pick up for you while I'm gone? It saves them a trip. Yeah, it's a small thing, but when you're maxed out and don't think you can stretch yourself any further at all, something like that can really be appreciated. And it shows that you are aware of what they are going through at that stage in their life. Take on a task without being asked. Something as simple as seeing your neighbor with a car full of groceries and offering to carry something in for them is always appreciated. Even taking the trash up to the curb on trash day is something that can be appreciated, because some of our neighbors have some physical limitations. That's hard for them to do. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time and a very small effort to make a difference. Another thing, especially this time of the year, that I absolutely love to do with some of my neighbors that I know can't get out much anymore, and that's to bring them some flowers from my garden. I have a bunch of vases that we recycle throughout the year, and the deal is, if I bring you some flowers, give me back the vase I put them in so I can bring you more. And that works out really, really well, because I just love flowers and I love being able to take them to neighbors. I love fresh flowers on the table whenever possible in my own home, and I figure most other people do as well. Cost me absolutely nothing other than trying to be aware and to show that I care. Another thing that you can do, if you have the means, is to leave a bigger tip than a server might expect if you're eating out somewhere. One thing that costs you nothing to do, if you can't afford that, is to take a moment and write a small note on the bill saying, thank you so much for being such a pleasant server. How many of us take the time to think that? And it can make all the difference in the world to a server who has been inundated with a lot of customers, and some of whom are not particularly patient or kind or generous. A simple thank you goes a long way. Even something like taking the time to thank a fellow member at one of your meetings for something they did to make your job easier at your weekly meeting is a way to show publicly how much you appreciate them and the role they play in keeping your chapter vital and active and supportive. Other things you can do are things like inviting someone to go with you on an activity that they may like. They may have been talking about going to Zumba. They may not want to go by themselves, but if you are going to your Zumba class, you could say, hey, why don't I swing by and pick you up, and you can see what it's like, and maybe it's something you would enjoy. Whatever, going for a walk in the park. give them a call spontaneously. Say, I'm going for my walk now. Do you want me to swing by and pick you up? It's also harder to make an excuse on the spur of the moment. And sometimes you might encourage them to go when, if they had had time to think about it, they might have found an excuse not to go. Another thing you can do if you find that you've cooked too much for dinner is to call one of the neighbors nearby you and share a meal. Say, I'd like to bring this over to you for supper. Very few people will turn down a free meal, especially a free home cooked meal. And again, all it requires is that we turn our thoughts into positive actions. Give somebody a call just because their name crosses your mind in thought, and see how they're doing. Maybe they're lonesome. Maybe they just want to chat a while. If it's not a good time, that's all right. At least they know that you care about them and you were thinking of them during that time. Offer to help them if they're doing a project that you know about. We just went through the neighborhood last week, taking care of some projects that a lot of us had lined up and pending that seem to come this time of the year when you're trying to get things ready for the fall. And you're taking out gardens and looking to bed things down in preparation for the colder months that are coming ahead. And we had fun. The teenage kids particularly are great for that because you can have them stuffing bags of stuff to be taken to the dump and getting rid of debris around the house that you perhaps would struggle to get done. Helping somebody finish a project. Maybe they're stalled out and they've reached a point where they really don't know what the next step could be. And it might be something you've done before. And you could say, well, I've done that before. I found this work. So why don't we sit down together and see if we can't figure it out and get it finished. Another thing that is a really nice, kind gesture of inclusion is to save somebody a seat by you. Especially this is true for newcomers to our meetings, to our associations, whatever. You just say, oh, hi, I saved a seat here. If you don't have someone else to sit with, you're welcome to sit with me. How gracious is that to let the person know that you welcome them into the life you're living and to share a few moments with them. Another thing, and this sounds really, really odd, but it's very true. Do you like somebody enough to tell them that they've got food stuck in their teeth? I know one time I was getting ready to go on stage at a meeting, and a lady that I did not even know came up to me and she whispered quietly in my ear. She said, Barbara, I think you need to go look in the mirror. I think you've got something stuck on your tooth. And so I went into the ladies' room and looked, and I had a piece of spinach stuck on my tooth. And how grateful I was to that lady for being aware and kind enough to let me know that I needed to take care of that. Because, I had eaten lunch and had not had an opportunity to go look in the mirror to see if lunch was still on my teeth. And I really appreciated her. It's, so many little obvious things like that we are maybe a little embarrassed to point out to someone, but are really, really helpful. And I think you can probably remember in your own mind times where you either did speak up or did not speak up when you noticed someone could potentially embarrass themselves if somebody didn't make them aware of what was going on. Another thing you can do is, if asked, and again, I use this really cautiously, if asked, offer some advice and feedback on issues that they may have shared they're struggling with. I'm not a great one for giving unsolicited advice as a general rule, because they can really backfire on you. But when someone reaches out to you for help, be considerate and as helpful as you can, given the circumstances. Even something as simple as helping somebody with a technical issue, like they may be struggling with how to get a message off of their cell phone, or to send a text, or to retrieve a picture, or something like that. In this age of constantly changing technology, I think we all need a little help from our friends or our grandchildren, if they're available, to keep us current and to keep us able to handle all these electronic devices that seem to filter into our lives. Another thing is the ability to offer yourself as a sounding board when people just need to vent, or when they're stressed out. They really may not want anything more than simply a sounding board, someone who will listen without offering opinion. What a gift that can be sometimes. And someone who can also listen and keep the confidence. That is critically important when people reach out to you and trust you. You need to honor that trust so highly. These are all ways that I feel we can extend our own gratitudes and our appreciation for the lives that we live. Whenever we extend ourselves in appreciation of someone else, we benefit as well. Both of us benefit physically and mentally. Being able to share one's worries, illnesses, the grief we may be feeling, and other challenges makes it easier for us to put them into perspective. And it makes it easier to be able to express the joy that we do find in each day. Bringing joyful moments to me, to others, helps us be alive in our own selves. Let me know, please, what opportunities you found this week to make someone's day, and how making someone else's day made you feel by so doing. Go out there and remember the saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? You. Thanks so much. You go out there and have yourself a magnificent week. Take care now.